Isa nimbula nakavale na sema mai na kaibina kanikoa the marau ni sema ramengona no da bulangi do kai o Daren Kamali babi di bina kapakalebi kemni to doksara na nomuni sema ramai na no da Talanoa na kabingo au ni taka ni rong bina katiko yani na no da Talanoa and sino binaka ni kwa. Me bakanga na keni bala and then ronga tamatang ko na sere me la tika buna na nonta Talanoa ni kuha Auckland ni wikimni na santo pamuretu kumena nongo programo au ni santo rede tiko ni do tika buli na sere mera ni Bula ngodi kendo binaka ni menda tika buna na Talanoa au marotaka na madongo au sereta tik mikine yang dua na tau bola dua na singa na lomanga ni vitu na singa na dua na madongo me bakango ni mada tik ni posa bakabiti Happy FIJIAN Language Week 2023 vikim ni keda na barong tik mai da marotaka ni bangalal teki koe o Daren Kamali ndovira na nonda turanga ni viti sa wakarongo itu na kay viti may New Zealand kena bese bura na nona bagdindike na wetambane tiko kina do volleyball kando serakali talanga na kabina ni ko marotaka ni bakayoko no kerker mengole tumai menta mai ronga tamata na nona Talanoa na siribina kaniku ya kabingo sa tiko na ser men tiko bunda na nonta Talanoa me boka ni sema ya sartiko ko mai Aotearoa lebu na ngauna kerondo wana nanu kini viti ya na seranga kero marota ka lebu na langa na serengo na banuando moni dakila ndini ni kero tu ya tu mai viti kerondo na numi viti tunga ndona serengo kima mtoronga ta lebu tini mami sema tiko yani kina nonta banua mai viti nimbula vinaka.
Bella
Sa rongo binakan dia na seranggo na bonondo moni da vakananal sarain vakalevu ibiti vakosivi kimami na tuya wa mai o kila talangani buku bikenta do langata vakalevu na seranggo senda rongo na seranggo ena buku ni gitu talanga da katinggo me baranse na World Cup da marota ni sa tosta ko biti na quarter final ia ando tental na Talanoa ia ondo kila ni do langata na sera na bonondo moni ke o gito rakavi se o tiko na matay balu se o laka tiko na tamala da mga and bese burbura and na sema kete tuk ngani vite ni bula vinaka baka levu na nom ni sema mai and ka vini ko tama ko pulsar vena nonda bula gito kai sa sema tiko mengo sema sar tiko mai Aotearoa mai New Zealand levu o Daren Kamali bula vinaka Daren.
Samabula vinaka tarisi vinaka valivu irtuna paramati kina turanga wakarorongo mai ina magini ko yo vinaka valivu.
Vinaka valivu sar Daren. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be our guest tonight. I know you are very busy Mboso, Daren.
Thanks for it. Thanks. It's an honor to be here.
Vinaka. As I was saying, this week is the Fijian Language Week, and I was thinking last week I was, pondering on the nearly 10 years of the Fijian Language Week we've been doing in New Zealand.
Yes.
And I was
about
thinking,
10 years.
Right. I was thinking 10 years. Maybe on the 10th year, I want to do something different. I really miss us, doing a lot of work together when I was in New Zealand.
That's right. Yeah, the university.
At the university, Gary. And then I realized, I'll invite some of our writers, some of our authors, to look at 10 years of writing our language. One thing is celebrating the language. One thing is celebrating this, how we speak the language. One way is celebrating how we sing the language, but another way on how we document and write our language. So that's why you're here tonight, and you are a really good role model and a good example for our young Fijians coming up in the field of history, in the field of museology, in the field of the arts, field of poetry, and lots of even music. There's a lot of things there and that is attached to you. And so, it's really wonderful that you can be here to inspire not only the young ones, but also their parents who are listening in tonight. So, bakambula madamay Daren to our listeners that are here to listen to your Talanoa, Vinaka.
Yes, Bula Vinaka to everybody who's listening in tonight. Vinaka Valevu, Naitango Daren Kamali, Susui Suva, my Samabula North Tumbo Street, Tinkavituna Mbakikia. Toki mai New Zealand Wellington Vasu ngu Vasu I Levuka Povalau patake Uvea Futuna Samoa patake Scotland so yes pretty much being in New Zealand for about 31 years now, and I guess through writing and through performance I've always tried to keep the essence of my Fijian upbringing in Suva and in Levuka, and and I'm a proud Fijian, and I love sort of expressing it through my work and through my writings and my multidisciplinary arts as well. And thank you for having me tonight, Teresi.
Vinaka, you're most welcome. Now, in terms of your education, which schools did you attend in Fiji before you moved to Aotearoa?
So I went to Marasuva Street up there in Turek for 8 years. So I went there, 81 to 88. So and then I did Cathedral for a semester, and then I ended up in Yetsen Secondary School till the 6th form, which is year 12, I think. And then I moved over to New Zealand, and I finished my education, high school education in Newlands College in Wellington. And then I moved up to Auckland in 94. I didn't start my arts till about 98. So I started busking on the streets of Auckland in 98 at the age of 23, I think. Yeah, so I've been 31 years on the 9th of October, it's been 31 years in New Zealand. So yeah, and just try and keep it alive through my poetry and my art.
Yes, vinaka, vinaka. When you were attending Marist and Cathedral and Yetsen, was the arts something that you kind of gravitate towards most of the time in your schooling?
I never really took it seriously, I guess, in when I'm growing up in Fiji, and it was never really encouraged as well, I guess, by the
Yes.
elders. Since I was like, yeah, it is sort of like a hobby to them anyway. But I did go to Yetsen, and I was in the choir, so the music festivals, I did the choir there, and also being a Catholic as well, uh, church choir as well. So I guess music was all, I mean, singing and and not really writing, but I was good at English as well, comprehension and literature at high school and primary school. So yeah, that sort of set me off when I came to New Zealand. When I started writing, it sort of took me back to those times. And but I really tapped into poetry when I came here to Aotearoa, New Zealand, and that was back in the 90s, late 90s.
Wow. So in terms of poetry and even music, yeah, I've seen, some of your work in, you use rap. You were, how I look at it, you were connecting to, the younger generation, because that was, and you make your work relevant, every time I see what you produce. So what actually motivated you, to go into these spaces of poetry and the arts and music? Was it always been in your family?
I think music has always been my favorite. My mom's a good musician, good singer, songwriter. Yeah, she used to be in a band when I was growing up as well. My dad, I didn't get to know him well, but I think he was a boxer. So I think rhythm was in our DNA growing up, and I didn't really discover that till I came to Aotearoa, New Zealand, and then I started to get involved with that here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And there was this guy called Reverend Moore. He was a reverend. He's a Samoan, New Zealand-born Samoan reverend. Back in the day, his son is one of the boys from Nisian Mystic, one of our famous hip-hop, Polynesian hip-hop band here. Feleti, MC Saber was his name. And then we started off writing poetry back in 98. And it was part of a TOPS course through Work and Income New Zealand. TOPS is like a training opportunity program that they put together. And it was heavily based around community and social work, but mainly around performing arts and visual arts. So we used that as a therapy, and we started writing our poetry and sort of rearranging it into music. And poetry, of course, is a cornerstone to rap or to chanting and to anything, I guess. Yeah, I mean, most of our ancestors were doing poetry from way back in the days, the voodoo, the serikali, that was already in our culture and around the Pacific as well. They always had orator, and there was always oratory before written. And I was a performer before I was a published writer. And and it's natural for us. And I think it's great when I see Pacific because Auckland is such a big Polynesian city. You can find all different Nisians here. There's so much talent. There's so much goodness. And that's the reason why we sort of formed the South Auckland Poets Collective back in 2008. And it's still running today. So we're doing poetry slams in schools now and across the Tasman and across even into the USA called Brave New Voices. So there's Pacific Voices are coming in strong, and there'll be something to look out for in the next the near future, I think.
And now, a lot of our parents who are watching this Talanoa right now, and I'm seeing some comments coming through from some of the parents that they see. I think one gentleman here, Nimilote, Ratundina, for your comment. He just mentioned that he loved the inspiration from your parents. Sort of things started from the home.
Yes.
You see the talent already there, and it's our parents who can also nurture, that talent. So when you look back to Fiji, even now, 2023, have you seen maybe a change from when your time, when you think of the arts as more just a hobby, Do you think that there's like people are taking these kind of artistic performances, more seriously these days?
Oh, definitely, Teresa. When I went to Suva earlier this year in April, just amazed. I was amazed by the amount of talent that is there in Suva and that is there in Fiji as a whole. I went to Oceania Center and I looked at the red wave artists and the blue wave artists who John Pule started back in the day, and now they're just thriving in terms of visual arts and stuff like that. And also even the performing space at the Oceania Center, we had the hip hop boys come out of Suva and did a little presentation on my the night there with poetry as well and spoken word that came through. Just so much happening there at home, and it's good to see, and it's good to see them taking it seriously. And I mean, here in Aotearoa, we are very blessed because we get supported by the government. Creative New Zealand has been our sort of our backing, especially in terms of funding and stuff. So I really take my hat off to those back home in Fiji who really struggle, but they are very passionate about what they're doing. And some of them are really stepped up and made a business out of that, which is very inspirational too. And I love seeing young people sort of grow and prosper. Yeah.
Yes, vinaka bakalebe. And I think our Talanoa, will be watched by those who make those important decisions in the government. So really want to acknowledge those who are listening in, those who make those decisions for our government in Fiji. And we really want to encourage the attention to be given and funding for our artists. They do such an amazing job. They are ambassadors of our country wherever they go internationally. And so they deserve that support.
That's right, man. And I love what Vo is doing as well. Vo is such an inspiration in terms of building the arts and dance and theater. Great.
So the contemporary performances, and I think being relevant, I think it's a key as well. Like how I see your work, you always adjust your work to suit what is relevant, at that particular time. And I think I remembered when I was getting to know you a little bit, I remember you were interviewed by FIJIAN. It was on a breakfast show, and you were featured there, and you were talking about your rap, your music, and then your poetry. And I'll never forget that interview because it was sort of how I see two artistic way of expression coming together. You have poetry and music and rap, all coming in. And I'm sure it was really enjoyed by the young people at that time. What was the feedback to you, Daren, after that interview?
I mean, that was cool. I think there was the RTR countdown, and they really played my videos. And because I came back home and I shot the video Mango Tree up on Tombow Street, and where my mango tree is. And I got all the boys to be featured on that. And Fiji TV was awesome. I think Richard Broadbridge was working the Fiji TV at the time, and he said, "Oh yeah, you can take a couple of cameramen up there and shoot your videos." And no, it was I really wanted the message to get out, and not just for Fiji and for New Zealand, but all over the Pacific, and just showing everybody's got their mango tree. No matter if you're in Hawaii or the other part of the Pacific, there's a mango tree somewhere where people are sitting under, they are having their talanoa, they having their kava, having a taki, whatever they're doing. So that's really what I wanted to do, and that's, I guess, with my poetry and my writings, is really I want to tell my stories and tell our stories through that. So I'm trying to not just use a Fijian approach now. It's developed into a Pan-Pacific kind of approach for me as well. So I'm looking towards other so Fiji and the Pacific, and to inspire what I do and how I do it.
Everyone has a mango tree, and that's true. I'm smiling because we used to have a mango tree too.
Definitely, yeah. No, everyone's just like, and even people call me when I go in the street, "Hey, Vuni Mango, hey, Vuni Mango." So I called my third book Vuni Mango and Me, and it's the Mango Tree Collections, which is a memoir, a bunch of memoir poems of growing up in the barracks in Fiji. And I guess a lot of people relate to it because there's a lot of characters where I came from, and those barracks and those housing authorities in Fiji, there's always characters in the low socio economic areas, And yeah, I just wanted to highlight that too. So just taking characters, even dogs, you know, the dogs that bite and stuff like that. I wanted to bring them to life in my writing and stories. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
totoo ka sir nga and
Mm.
you know they become part of your memory because the Wunimango is where people come and meet
Together, yes.
kind of
Yeah.
gathering place, and then that's where you tell your stories, and that's
Yeah.
where you plan your next step of what you want to do after that,
That's
uh
right. Yeah.
good
Even
sir every
from kids playing marbles under there, you know, making their little, first pilavi, second pilavi, and I took things like kite season and marble season, and I try to incorporate it into the memoirs of the story. So I try to get the mango tree to tell the story as well, to have a voice. And normally that's what I do with workshops with young people, is that you don't have to always be human in your poetry and in your creativity. You can be the ocean, you can be the stars, you can be the moon, and then I wanted to be the Vunimango. I just imagined how the Vunimango would have told its story. So I named it sort of Vunimango and me, coming from a point of view of when I was 12 to 17 before I came to Aotearoa. So I took that period and I tried to incorporate it into my writing, which was my master's for my creative writing at the Auckland University with Selena Tustalamas. So that was my third book was my thesis, if you like. Yeah. So and yeah, sort of ended up with about 45 poems, which became Vunimango and Me, the Mango Tree collections. And yeah, just characters. I mean, people will relate to this. All those who grew up in Suva in the 80s and early 90s. There's so much character there as well.
Bira
And,
sir nga
yeah, the bus
yes.
stand, all that thing carry on in Fiji, hibiscus, and yeah,
The
those
bean
different
cart.
seasons. The bean carts, yeah, Chinese sweets. Even I wrote about Chinese sweets and the Indian sweets, and so it's all about, I guess, senses. There are five senses, and then brings it all together. What does it look like? What does it taste like? Feel like? Yeah. And then I guess staying in Aotearoa takes me back when I'm doing those work and I'm doing my creative work. It feels like I'm back home in Fiji. And yeah.
So, I can see some teachers watching Talanoa today. And I think for some of you who are teachers who are watching this Talanoa with me and Daren, this can be an opportunity for you to use some of his writing, some of his books in your teaching, in your class. So I'm sure some of our teachers who are listening in may be thinking of putting together their syllabus for their classes for next maybe 2024. Consider including some of Daren Kamali's work in your syllabus for your school, because a lot of the poetry and creative work that is done will connect, I'm sure, with a lot of our young people back home. So if you think about it, Daren, I remember me growing up in Fiji. Sometimes, we have books and things like that outside of Fiji, written by people who didn't grow up in Fiji, people from outside coming in to write about our history. But this is such a wonderful time to listen to you, someone who grew up in Fiji and writing about your own experiences in Fiji. So Daren, why is it so important for you to write and document your memories of living in Samabula North?
I mean, it actually is from the horse's mouth. I mean, yeah, a lot of Palangis, like I agree with you. I work at the library and I had to, working in the archives, and a lot of writings is about the Palangis writing about us. But then I just look at Albert Wendt and what he said about, if Albert Wendt, if you don't know, he's a pretty profound poet and writer, an old timer. But he mentions that too long they've been writing about us. So it's about time we write about ourselves and we tell them about our stories, and we keep it real from our perspective, because a lot of those stories that came from there was just, sort of a third person kind of experience. But for this, it's coming out of, like I said, the horse's mouth. So yeah, all our Pacific writers and all our Pacific expressionists out there now, I'm so proud of them, and I'm so happy that we can tell our stories through music, through poetry, through dance, through any sort of art, multidisciplinary and academia as well. So I'm so proud about our Pacific people stepping into that arena, and Fiji as well. I mean, I've always been proud of Fiji, and I've always wanted to represent Fiji.
Well, that's a really good point, that it's about time that we write our own story. Yeah? And most of the time we often either make excuses, and say, oh, I don't have time, or I don't have a very good story. What would you like to say to those who may be doubting themselves, Daren, who are listening in tonight, in terms of writing this story?
And when I first came to New Zealand, I'm very shy as well. But it came to a point where I started to realize that, I can be creative, I can be so talented, I can write. But then you need to get out of that garage, you need to get out of that bedroom, and you go out and, sort of network and find people that will work with you as well. And I guess, I always tell my young people this when I do workshops with them or facilitate workshops, is that, everybody's got a dream, and everybody's got passion, and not everybody's got talent. But when you have that talent, it's awesome. But the main thing around all those three key elements that you possess, the only way to make it work is discipline. And it's hard. If you don't have the discipline, then you can be the most talented person on earth. And if you're still just hiding in your bedroom and hiding in your little garage, then it's not going to be the best place to express yourself. So I had to get out of there as well. And like I said, I started busking on the streets before I became, before my name started to get recognized through publishing and stuff. So, I just say, and keep at it as well. So keep believing in it, because that's the only thing that will carry you forward. Yeah. And if you don't believe in your story, then no one will believe in that story too.
Wow, that's a nice line. That's a nice line. If you don't believe in your story, you have to believe in it yourself, then others will believe in it eventually. Yes. Wow, to talk about it. So to those of us who are listening in tonight, we're so blessed to have Daren with us, sharing his journey, his artistic journey, but not only that, he's actually documenting and writing the work that he has been doing. So now can be the time for show and tell, Daren, if there are any of your books that you want to highlight today. This is the time for you to share with us some of the materials you have produced, but also before I forget, the picture behind you as well, if you can also refer to that too in your Talanoa, just to tell us about a recent project that was so exciting that three of you were doing as well. So over to you, Daren.
Yes. Thank you, Tarisi. Yeah, so this picture at the back of me is the inside of Ulutavu or Ulumate wig. So this is a Mangi Mangi, which is the inside of the wig. So we've got a collective called Natolu. There's three of us. Auntie Choana Monalangi, she's the actual one who made my Ulutavu wig. I first worked with Auntie Choana in 2013 at the Auckland War Memorial Museum. And she was amazing. And also another guy who got us the job that we do work together now is Natolu, is Ole Mayava. He's Samoan, New Zealand born, but he was our program manager at the time. And the three of us was there, and I was just about to cut my dreadlocks. I had long dreadlocks. After 17 years, I was going to cut it and take it back to Fiji. And normally, plant a plant on top of it, normally a coconut tree or something. But then I saw this wig at the Auckland War Memorial Museum on display in the Pacific Pathways in the Fijian alcove. And it was a Ulutavu wig. This one's from Cambridge. But I think Auckland War Memorial Museum has about 4 of that. And one is a Uluniu, which is a coconut wig as well. So I thought, 17 years. And that just resonated with me. As soon as I saw that wig, I had this kind of chilly feeling. It was like something that resonated with me. And I said, and I told Ollie and Auntie Choana, I said, I really want to make my hair into something like this. And then, I just kept on working at the museum for 4 years, but then I started to write and research about this Ulutavu wig and go back to it. So after 25 years, after cutting that, I grew my hair again for another 8 years, and I kept collecting it and combing it and collecting it. And then in 2001, Auntie Choana had made a modern day, contemporary Ulutavu wig, which hasn't been made in over 200 years, over 2 centuries. And so it was just, this whole project has been really, something that is sacred, and also that is sort of, gives me another inspiration to to create a work, which is a book. So this is our second book. We had our first book we did. We are self-publishing at the moment. So Ole and I are known as the Unregistered Savages of Aotearoa. So we've got the unregistered press, and we've done everything. Ole has done all the designs, and he takes all the photographs. So Auntie Choana is the Linga Tambu. She's the one who makes everything with the Takani Linga. And Ole is the moment capturer with his photos and cameras, and I am the subject object. And then we work together as Natolu, because the original Natolu was taken from Dafty Herbert Francis Dafty back in the day, and this is the original Natolu. They call it it's in the thing they call it the kaidolos. That was all we had is the kaidolos. Nothing else is a label. And so I thought, and Oli said, oh, we should work on that Natolu. So we formed the collective, and yeah, and this is how far we've come. So this is our second publication that just came out last month. That's my Uludabu right in front there. So yeah, it's self-published. So if you want to get in contact with me or Oli, we can always get that through Dr. Tarisi later. And that's just the other project. And my contemporary ones are like one I said, Funimango and me. Also the Squid Out of Water, the evolution that I done in Hawaii as a residency back in 2012. Yeah, and John Pulley did a little cover of the book for me. And my very first book was the 2011, when I first met you, Tarisi, and I met Dr. Apollonia Tamata in Cook Islands. Remember we had a PAA conference there?
Yes, I remember.
And I met Dr. Is she there, Apollonia? She's in Hawaii, or she's back in Fiji?
She's back in Fiji. She's back at USP.
Yeah, so and she heard that I was just about to finish my book, and then she said, oh, just let me know if you want me to translate it into Fijian. And then my very first book was translated into Fijian, and Apollonia and I worked together on that as well. So that was a good collaboration too. And then later on, that book got translated into Ukrainian. So I went to Ukraine to launch that there, because they were so far away from the ocean. And my book was called Tales, Poems, and Songs from the Underwater World. So like my mom was the dolphin, my grandmother was the grandmother eel, you know, my sons were the turtle and the shark, and you know, I was the giant octopus swimming around. So everything was like metaphorical and parallel, you know, sort of to the world I was living. And yeah, they translated into that, and Creative New Zealand took me across to Ukraine. So I've done 3 personal poetry collections. I've edited, helped edit a couple of collections, and now we're doing this one. So it's about 7 books that I've done so far, 8 books that I've done so far, and we're working on it now that we've self-published. So yeah, and I've just been we're working with that as well, and doing masks. We're starting to create masks, Ole and I, for all those different ulumates in different museums around the world that doesn't have any face. We thought we'll make masks for the ones that we started to see. So in Cambridge alone, they have 9 ulumates there. There's only 6 in Fiji, in Suva. So within UK alone, there will be over 24 uludavus in all those 5 museums around there. So and we're still finding one is in Norway, another one is in Ireland. There's America, Smithsonian. There's across here, Australia, in Melbourne, in Perth, and here in Aotearoa, there's in Auckland, in Wellington. So it's all scattered around the world, and we're trying to put a database together for this as well. So we're calling it a research revival activation project. So RRA, not Rewanga Revolution Army, but Revival Research Activation Project. No, it's all good. Thank you.
Yes, Bula vinaka to all the gang from RRA, the one, those of you listening in, I'm sure many of you have connection to Rewanga. Yeah.
I thought I'd name it after RRA for the Research Revival Activation. And otherwise, it's, yeah, you know, where's it from? So always creative about something, you know.
Yeah, man, that's wonderful. And I'm glad, you're sharing these stories, those of us who are listening in, adults as well, teachers and parents, can encourage their children. I'm sure there's They have children that loves to draw. Yeah, they have children that loves to sing. They have children that loves to dance. This could be a really wonderful example. They can be shared to them. That you are one of those. You may be one of those kids that when you're growing up in Samabula, your parents allowed you, to express yourself.
True that. It was great. And growing up exposed to different characters as well, really has influenced and also fueled my my content of my work. Yeah.
Vinaka. Yes, songgo sarachich may rewanga. Vinaka bakaliw. And speaking about writing, so that's the main aim of our Talanoa today, to encourage those who are listening in to start writing their own story and value their own voices. So how do you actually start to when you have a good idea, like, do you have sort of a process of how you write them down and expand your writing, or how do you do your research? Like, do you have a process for each of them, or are they different for each of your books?
There will be different processes, I guess, and depending on the time and the place as well, and the subject of what you're writing about, so the process is really dependent on that too. Sorry, could you ask the question again? Sorry.
So so in terms of like how the steps of how you actually eventually write a book, like for example the one behind you, the Natolu, is just so great. You have Ole, and then you have Choana, and then it's you. Yeah, so the three of you focused in your areas of expertise, and then you just come together to put your storyline together. Is that how it worked for you?
Yeah, and then we talk about it, and Ole will be the one who's gonna check out all the photographs, and then he will say, "Yeah, this is what I'll be doing," and then all of us will be writing towards those. So Auntie Joanna will be writing about the making of the Uludau itself, and also the making of the adornments that those three kaitolos was wearing. So Auntie Joanna, during lockdown, she had to make that. We couldn't get it from Fiji, so she made it from molding clay. So all the waseka and all that was made from, batiniwaka and everything was made from the clay, molding clay. And when you see it in the book, it's all, the photographs and everything, it looks really real, but it's actually from the clay because we couldn't get access to our iau at home, our adornments. And that was just amazing. She's such a creative woman, and I've got so much respect for her in terms of knowledge, in terms of the processes that she used, because no one had woven that for over 2 centuries, and no one has used mangi to weave a ulumate or anything with hair. So she actually did that, in 2001, 2021, sorry, over a year. And just amazing how we wrote together. And then Ollie would say, "Oh, can Daren, because you made 3 masks, you'll have to write 3 poems for that mask." And then he would write 3 poems for his masks. But it's all about connecting back to the Uludau, the wig. And then we have sections in the book and different chapters that we write towards, and it takes a lot of photos and stuff like that. So, and that's a process of collaboration. Whereas the other side of it is I do keep a journal. It'll be great if you want to start writing your stories, is to keep a journal. It would be amazing place to start. Because ideas, they come and go, and especially when you hit that amazing idea that probably won't come back the next round. So if you can write it down and then keep it for later, and come back to it, and then sort of connect back to it. And I guess that's how writing residencies helped out earlier in my career. I came to Hawaii for 3 months to write my second book, which was the Squid Out of Water, the evolution. And then so it's actually that time that you spend on it and how do you expand it. Some of my manuscripts are still sitting on my computer 4 years later. So there's still a few there. And I've applied for Michael King Writers Center, which is like a 3 weeks residency out in Devonport, a cabin looking out the ocean and trying to spend some time just to look at the subject that I want to write about and the manuscript that I want to finish. And then, yeah, hopefully that'll give me the time, space, and a little bit of stipend to carry me through for for my projects and stuff like that. Otherwise, I just try and find the time, because I do 40 hours a week anyway at the library. And we do an atoll on the side. So we've been doing that since 2013. So yeah, it takes time as well, I guess.
I think one thing I learned from Talanoa today is the word, the discipline. Discipline with your time, discipline with your, the way you start to put your ideas together, and being consistent.
Yes.
So for those of you who are listening in, this is something that we learned from Daren. He has a full-time job, but then he still maintained the publishing of his work. And one thing you just shared there, that there's no excuse, Daren. You've just inspired us. You have a full-time job, you have so many other hats that you wear in terms of creativity, being a poet and being a musician, and the list goes on. But we still see year in, year out, you produce stuff, and that is just so admirable, Daren.
Oh, thank you so much. Vinaka. Yeah, I just try my best to keep sort of try to want to publish at least a book a year. And yeah, just keep chipping away, I guess, Tarisi, at the projects and at the stories, and supporting others as well. I mean, I guess through my writing, it's actually there's this thing called Authors in Schools, or Read New Zealand, and they call authors up to come to schools and do workshops and stuff like that, facilitate. So I do sometimes take leave from work, because they don't give you leave without pay. So I do take leave, and then I go and do these schools. But sometimes I have to say, I can't make it, because So I'll have to find a way eventually to because I really feel bad when I can't go to a certain school when they request me to come in and tell them about my work. So I'm trying to find a way around that, and I want to be present for people who sort of take my work seriously as well, and do research my stuff, which is great. I mean, I'm sort of honored and blessed and humbled by that too.
We know that's an inspiration for many of us who are listening in now, and those who will watch our recording. I think you have inspired all of us, that everyone has a story to share, and you have really reiterated the point that we have to value our stories first. And when you value your stories first, then others will value what you believe in. So that's, you've inspired us, Daren, which is why I'm doing this series this week for the Fijian Language Week, is that we are such an expressive culture. We sing, we dance, we do lots of things, but the documentation is something that is lacking. We don't write about it, we don't record it, and then we're leaving that space for people outside of Fiji to come in and write about us.
Yes.
That's the part sometimes it bothers me.
Yeah, I know how you feel too. Yeah, and that's why I love your work too, Tarisi. And when you're writing your thesis as well, when you did your PhD, I'm still trying to cram it as well. Because one day I hope I will do my PhD, maybe. But but I'm so happy that you had me on tonight, Tarisi, and to all those who was listening. Hope I made sense to everyone, and just want to encourage our young people. There's so much youngness coming up, even in the music industry here. Somebody to look out for is Lepani Tuifangalele. He's amazing. So amazing soul funk kind of musician, and he was at the Music Awards this year. And it's always good to see a FIJIAN amongst the Samoan and Tongans majority around here, shining from somewhere, which is amazing. I loved it. Yeah.
And do you have your Vunimango and me book with you?
I do, actually. Yes.
Okay. Would you be able to maybe, there you go, for those of you who are watching, that's his poetry book. Would you be able to read at least just one for our audience, if that's okay?
Oh, yeah, okay, cool. What should I read?
Vinaka.
Just a short one, maybe, or...
Okay.
Oh, no. I'll read Mangoes Buas, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Vinaka Vakale, for those of you listening in, we are really fortunate to have Daren with us tonight, and he's going to read one of his poems for us. That'll be a lovely treat for those of you who are watching right now.
If I can find it. Well,
Okay, bula vinaka Dr. Litea Mel, bula vinaka sa Lotindi Loi, Mere Rasue, Milika Tukana, Dilewa, vinaka Vakale, Mimata Manisau, bula vinaka Nugulewa. She's a teacher at Ra High School, bula vinaka Mima. Maybe if Daren comes to Fiji another time, you can invite him to come to Ra High School below the beautiful mountains of Nakawandra. That'll be great if you go over to Ra, Daren.
I will let them know. I would love to come over there. Thank you. Nakawandra Talanga, man, that's the sacred place. Yeah. Anyway, this one's called Mangoes Grew Us. Mangoes grew us. Children dance the meke, hands swaying in the air, chanting to the sun. Little fingers flick marbles on a muddy patch of ground under the mango tree. Iao mangoes hung ripe from Vunimango once. Children still dance under the mango tree. Only different meke moves now. Hope history never repeats itself. Iao mangoes hang from her branches no more. Nana and Papa nurtured us all, solo parents and children, huddled closely together at 27 Tumbo Street. Mosquito nets tucked under mattresses on linoleum floors, women and children in a single bedroom under the kitchen table and sitting room floor. Morning novenas, most sacred heart of Jesus, defend us in our battles. Laya Laya medicine every morning kept us well, strangers from all walks of life, now family. Meals prepared by the maramas of the house, man worked the day with Papa. Popo, guava, bananas, dalo, tavioca, yams, vundi, kumala. Fresh seafood Saturdays from supermarket. Nama, kuka, ika, kuita, lumi, mana, and gari. Altar boy on Sundays, 10 a.m. mess, lunch under Vunimango, strolls to Wailoko Falls in the afternoon, sing-along evenings, guitars and ukulele, strumming Isale melodies into the night, Sosoko mix in the cover bowl, Chinese lollies, chasers, the Yangona, down.
Oh my goodness, man, there's so much. Oh, the content connects with everybody, I'm sure. It did with me, and I'm sure there's a lot of us who are listening in, just hearing some of those lines, it really hit home. We have even listeners connecting in from Lambasa. Tarusila Korosamu, they're listening from Moilevu in Lambasa right now. Nakapakalevu Lambasa for connecting in. Yeah, and I'm sure you really, really enjoy listening to Daren, who's connecting in from New Zealand, Aotearoa in the beautiful city of Auckland. But even though he's a big bosso in Auckland, he grew up in Samabula, okay? Samabula, Bula vinaka Samabula.
Tumbuhai. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, vinaka makalewa. So for those of you who are listening in, this is something we can be reminded with. Vitalia nabono sare tuki na like right now, Dr. Litese Wambul, doctor got a PhD, but now living in Sydney. But I'm sure all of us have these humble stories of where we all grew up in. So just like you, Daren, you're making a name for yourself there in Aotearoa, but Tumbo Street is always there, and I'm sure that memory, go back to that Vunimango.
Vunimango, yes. Vunimango and me.
So before we finish our Talanoa, I'll give it back to you, Daren, if you want to say hello to people or who would like to say thank you to those who supported you along the way.
Oh, definitely. I'm really humbled by people's responses and an amazing support over the years. I've been doing this for 25 years now. And yeah, it's just been amazing, the amount of people that supported me along the way. I couldn't have done this without them as well. And I'm always really proud and happy to hear from my own people at home in Fiji who sort of my work resonates with them. And vinaka value for their support always. And Tarisi, thank you too for always being there and always guiding me through my journey as well in terms of research and art. Lolo Malevu, vinaka value for everybody around the world. Thank you.
Yes, vinaka value, Sarah Daren. On behalf of all of us, there's even people wanting to buy your Vunimango book. So is there a way they can get hold of you, Daren, if they want to purchase your book? Or is there a website?
There is an email address, I think so, but www.coverbowlmedia.com and /Vunimango. Yeah.
So Coverbowl Media.
Yeah. Coverbowlmedia.com /Vunimango.
Okay.
And that's run by Damon Salesa and John Tapu.
Yeah, so those of you who are inquiring about the book, I've just put the link on the chat, Dr. Litea. So you can go www.coverbowlmedia.com/Vunimango. Eh? So that's the best way to connect with the book that Daren just shared with us now. Yes, Daren, we appreciate your time. We know time is so valuable for you with lots of other work that you do as well. Welcome Bula to the family, and we look forward to catch up again sometime in the future. All the very best, Daren.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa.
Naka, madamanda. Naka. There you go. To everyone that connected it tonight. We're so blessed to have Daren Kamali with us, logging in from the beautiful city of Sails in Auckland. And he was here sharing with us his writing journey. He's a musician, he's a poet, he's got a lot of other artistic background that he possesses, but he weaves it together in such a very creative way, and he produces books. So he writes about it, and he publishes a lot of these books, which are now available for you to purchase. He just completed a project with Ole Mayava from Samoa, and Choana Monalangi, our beautiful sister from the province of Serua. She also lives in Auckland, just the same as Daren and Ole. So we really are very fortunate that the three of them have written this book on the Fijian wigs, Nauludabu, that the Fijians were well known for. It was a collectible. A lot of Kebalang, when they came to Fiji in the 1800s, that was one of the artifacts that was highly sought after. They collected them. So you heard that there's lots of Uludabu in England, in various museums, in Norway, in Europe. I'm sure there's lots in Germany. I remember I saw some in one of the museums in Berlin when I was there last year. Australia, New Zealand. So they're working on a database to, put and identify where all these uludavu or wigs, ulumate, are kept. And so we also want to acknowledge Choana Monalangi, our beautiful sister from Serua, who lives in Auckland as well. And she was able to sew and put together and weave a whole complete modern day wig. And this has never been done, not for 100 years, 200 years. Rona century. Sangai dotal metalia, dotal na ulu ram. Da babin vinaka ni tiko ira na wekander do wandindike tiko talanga so na wekander so leto na non rangona ke na non kilaka merao ni da mai buli kino keda ke na lubenda ke rama kumbunda. So we want to acknowledge Ole Mayava, Choana Monalangi, and Daren Kamali for doing all this research on the topic of wigs and uludavu or ulumate na tanababiti. So our teachers who are listening in, you can use those books and resources to teach in your classrooms. in Fiji. So this is an opportunity for us to start utilizing our knowledge base created by our own people to benefit our children. So happy Fijian Language Week to everybody. Auni taka ni vula da ngoli sem chuk mikina ni maru taka na makena maru tekitiko na nonda vosa baka viti the resurrected kumikino ir na nonda do volleyball. Fijian writers and authors, they will be featured this week, 7 of them. So 1 author per day. So on Monday, we had Nilima Rao from Melbourne, and then we had Aisia Walla last night, and then today we had Daren Kamali, and tomorrow we have Paddy Ryan, who will be connecting in from Colorado here in the US. He's actually writing or editing the book, The Natural Heritage of Fiji. Turangan New Zealand, susumay viti. So don't forget to log in tomorrow. And then the following day, we will also be listening to Dr. Gina Cole from Oneilau. And she's currently here in Hawaii writing her 3rd book. We are featuring all these authors and all these writers from Fiji and those who have connections to Fiji. And then we have Kelera Nganibatu, who is in Estonia, in Europe. She's from Ra. We're also going to have Fesaitu Solomoni from Rotuma. And then last but not least will be Mary Rokonanrapo from Fiji, raised in Levuka, born in Koro Island in Lomaiviti, but currently in Iowa, here in the US. She's been selected amongst all the writers around the world, and she's representing Oceania. And where is she from? Fiji. Nakapakalev everybody for listening in. Don't believe in Nakamelambasa, don't believe in Nakameserene, acknowledging everyone that is listening in tonight. And we just wanted to acknowledge everybody for spending your time with me and our guests so that we can be able to be inspired. Be inspired to write our own stories. No more excuses to say, I don't have time. Daren has a full-time job and he's written about 7 books. What else is there for us to give as an excuse? 2, we don't have any stories. Everybody has a story. Remember the Wuni Mango? Everybody will have a Wuni Mango somewhere. Or everybody might have a Wuni Tawola or a Wuni New that everybody can connect to. So you have the opportunity to write. If you have a voice, you can write. Nakapakalev everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today. Asavamo then bikim do kere sar. May lambasa, may serene, Vambula bikim do mi chamani, Australia, New Zealand. Thank you for joining in. I love you all. Sotatali ni mataka. It'll be 3 p.m. Fiji time because it'll be 8 p.m. Colorado time. Nakavalevu, Asavamo deani ni matamata. Nakavalevu ilisang benibari, areta boli, meme na batonga, o ni ulo ni sao, mi matama ni sao, sa loram tiyan bir ng anibuli, nakatalang bakalevu sa Faira Ogden, may Dubai, nakavakalevu na siya matikumayan. Thank you for enjoying his beautiful poem. So go online on www.coverballmedia.com/Wunimango and purchase his book. Naka, ahui ho, kakitiano, ni Samuel.